Hello viewers. In this lecture, we shall discuss about the institution of Ombudsman, and I expect that by the end of this lecture you should be in a position to discuss the meaning of the term Ombudsman, the significance of Ombudsman in the administration and good governance, and the evolution and development of institution of Ombudsman in different jurisdictions. The good system of administration requires honesty. It should be responsible to the people. It should also at the same time must be responsive to the people. There must be openness in the system of administration, and the purpose of all these traits is to ensure the absence of arbitrariness and implementation of rule of law in an appropriate manner. Lord Acton had once commented that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So that is why there are different norms which are evolved in the system of administrative law to ensure that the administrative authority should perform their functions in an appropriate manner, and in a limited manner they shall use their authority, not with arbitrariness to harm the society. This is the key factor, sole factor of good governance. There are various kinds of institutions, various kinds of machineries, various kinds of techniques to control the administrative bodies and to facilitate them to function appropriately. Predominantly, these are called as green light and red light theories, as the authors Harlow and Rawlings explain them. The red light theory is about the outside control, like courts, to discipline the administrative authorities and to control them and to keep them within the confines of their power. On the other hand, the green light institutions are facilitating institutions. These are the internal controls also, like training. So the internal controls are always better than the external controls. It is also said that the fire watching is always better than firefighting, or prevention is better than cure. Ombudsman is one such institution which is though outside the machinery of that particular administrative authority, but it also performs the not only correctional function but also the function of a kind of motivation to work appropriately. There are various institutions, as I told, which have evolved to control the administrative body, to safeguard the citizens' interests, to prevent the administrative faults. Along with Ombudsman, there is right to information, there is Central Vigilance Commission, etc. So now let us elaborately see that what is the role of Ombudsman in a system of good administration. What does it do? So administration involves, it touches upon almost every part of the life of the people, whether someone is a higher authority or a common man. Ombudsman is considered to be protector of the little man. It is also called as the Watchdog of Administration, and it is helpful in ensuring the system of open government. It is also considered to be helpful in ensuring the humanitarian aspects in the administrative system. The system of Ombudsman first of all evolved in Sweden in 1809, and later on it was then also copied in different other countries of a Scandinavian origin. It is also reflected in the functioning of the administration in England, and in UK they have the Office of Parliamentary Commissioner, which is similar to that of Ombudsman. Now, because we also are belonging to the common law system, that is why we should see how the Ombudsman functions in England. In England, like other countries, there is a growth in intensive form of government, and there are wide powers which are conferred over the executive. And there was one episode which had happened there, which is called as the Critchell Down episode, which happened in 1954, where some land which was belonging to Commander Martin was acquired by the government for the purpose of practicing of bombing by the Air Force, and a promise was given that later on that land would be given to him back after the conclusion of the war. But the promise was not kept. The land was transferred to the Ministry of Agriculture. And there was a debate there regarding the arbitrary decisions taken by the administrative authorities. So, Critchell Down episode motivated a lot of discussion with regard to making the administration transparent and to ensure how the citizens' grievance can be dealt. So, in this manner, there the invigoration of this thought happened, and the Franks Committee was appointed under the chairmanship of Sir Oliver Sheville Franks, and on its recommendations an enactment was framed which was called as the Tribunals and Inquiries Act of 1958. And in 1967, later on, as a next step, we may say, the Parliamentary Commissioners Act was passed. The Parliamentary Commissioner was a it is supposed to be a permanent appointee of the High Court judge with the security of the service of a High Court judge. He is appointed by the Crown on the advice of Prime Minister and supposed to perform as an extension of the Parliament, because it is the responsibility of the Parliament to ensure good administration. So the Parliamentary Commissioner act as an agent in a way of the Parliament, and the direct complaints are not entertained by the Office of Parliamentary Commissioner. The complaints are to be made to the MP, and if it is possible, then the MPs used to resolve the complaint at their own end. And if they think it appropriate to hand it over to the Parliamentary Commissioner, then the complaint is sent to the Office of Parliamentary Commissioner, and then he exercises the jurisdiction. So, in this manner, irrespective of the Official Secrets Act of 1920 being implemented there, which is relating to Crown's privilege, there are various changes which had taken place there, and despite various exclusions, the Office of Parliamentary Commissioner is functioning there to curb injustice and to prevent maladministration. But because it is incapable to directly entertain the complaints and the complaints come through the Member of Parliament, this is called as a kind of peculiar MP filter, Member of Parliament filter, that the complaints reach to Ombudsman only after a filter. The Ombudsman inquires into the matter and gives recommendations, which is the responsibility of the government to follow. So in this manner, a kind of pressure building mechanism is established by the Office of Parliamentary Commissioner. So there is a difference between the Ombudsman in the Scandinavian countries like Sweden, Norway, Denmark, which can directly deal into the complaints and their sphere of action is quite wide, they independently function, and the Office of Parliamentary Commissioner in UK, where he looks at only those cases which are forwarded by the Member of Parliament. Now, if we look at the development of such institution in USA, there is a kind of system which is little bit anti-establishment of the function of ombudsman. So it is called that there is ombudsmania, fear of ombudsman in USA. So, however, the bill was introduced there in 1963 to establish the institution similar to that of ombudsman, but it never became an enactment. And the members of Congress, they think that it would be undermining their authority. Undermining the authority of Congress is not acceptable by them, and the members of Congress feel that it will take away from their hands the privilege to deal with the or to handle the grievances of the people. So the congressional investigations and the grievance cells are established in the various departments. There are various institutions like the police review boards which discharge the functions which are similar to that of ombudsman. Gail Horn, who is the author of When American Complain, and this writing had come in the year 1966, he had explained the presence of these other kinds of institutions which in place of ombudsman are established in US and are performing similar functions. Now, as far as the institution of ombudsman in India is concerned, M.C. Sitalvat, he gave a speech in the All India Lawyers Conference in 1962, and he had given the idea to establish the institution similar to that of ombudsman in India. And the investigation of this idea, the discussion about this idea was done by the Administrative Reforms Commission, and a report was submitted regarding the establishment of ombudsman, which was an interim report on 14th of October 1966. On the basis of this, in 1968, a bill was introduced in the Parliament for the first time, and then many times it was reintroduced, but because of the lack of political will, sometimes it was passed in Lok Sabha, it could not be passed in Rajya Sabha. Sometimes the term came to an end, the session expired. Because of various reasons, it could not become an enactment. So, a long journey, and there were also a dispute whether the MPs and MLAs should be included in the office of, whether within the sweep of the institution of Lokpal or not. This was also one of the reasons for not passing that particular bill. Another is about the inclusion of the office of Prime Minister, whether the Prime Minister institution should be included in the office of Ombudsman or not. That was the another reason. But we must take care of the fact that even before the passing of the Lokpal enactment, we already had the institution of Lokayukts functioning in India, and the institution of Lokayukt at the state level got developed earlier, before even the framing of the Lokayukt enactment at the central level in India. So I'm winding up this particular part of this lecture, and in the next part we shall look into the Lokpal Act and the important provisions and shortcomings of this particular institution. Thank you so much.